Welcome everyone to the game between Anish Giri and Praggnanandhaa at the Tata Steel Chess Masters 2026. And a handshake there is going to be an epic clash because these two are the candidates and they're going to play each other in the candidates tournament in 3 months from now, or actually in 2 months from now. A handshake here. Pragg and Anish both having a tough tournament here. 2 losses for both of them and 2 draws. Let's see who comes out on top today. Pragg just calming himself down before the game and wanting to play a good game of chess. He opens with pawn to e4. And Anish Giri now thinks and plays pawn to c5. And this is going to be Sicilian. Anish actually taking some chances, yeah, right out of the opening because he did play the Najdorf against Jordan Van Forest and got his hands burnt in this tournament. But he's kind of sticking to his guns. Knight comes out to f3. And now pawn to d6 played. Will Pragg go for the open Sicilian? Yes, he does. Pawn to d4. We have pawn takes pawn. And now knight takes on d4. Will Anish go for the Najdorf again? Is the big question. He goes knight to f6, knight c3, and a6. So it is the Najdorf on the board. And Pragg is, of course, well prepared. He goes bishop c4. He goes for the Sozin. And this is the line that Bobby Fischer made very popular with the white side. e6 played. And bishop to b3. We have pawn to b5, expanding on the queen side. And Pragg played in similar style against MVL in one of the Grand Chess Tour events. Now b4 is stopped. But at the same time, if you look at it from Black's perspective, he's got like bishop b7, knight d7. The only problem is that the moment the bishop goes to b7, sacrifices like bishop e6, f e6, knight e6 come into the picture, attacking the queen and the third pawn on g7. So queen f3 played here, threatening e5 and attacking the rook in the corner. So he goes queen to c7. You can see Anish being very careful here, keeping the e6 pawn defended. If you play e5, I have bishop b7 to attack back the queen. And Pragg goes queen g3. He's eyeing the g7 pawn. Already Pragg has a 26-minute lead on the clock. So the opening surprise has worked to some extent. Knight c6 played very quickly. You can't take on g7 because of rook g8 and then the knight is hanging. Pragg decides to chop off the knight on c6. Queen takes c6 by Anish. And now queen g7, rook g8 and knight takes e4 is hanging. So he castles first. Okay, taking the pawn on e4 is a bit too risky here as the g7 pawn is hanging. Maybe short castles is not such a bad idea. You just have to be alert about bishop h6 concepts here. So Anish first goes knight to h5. He attacks the queen. And if you play queen g4, then knight f6 back is pretty good. So maybe Pragg wants to continue the game. He plays queen d3. And now the knight comes back to f6. It's keeping an eye on the e4 pawn. And bishop b7 later. Yeah, f4. Let's go. Pragg is going at it in the center. Maybe bd2 and then rook a e1 and trying for e5 break in the center. I think for Anish, it's a good time now to tuck his king away. He does play short castles here. And now Praggnanandhaa plays f5. He's going at it. He's going with full force, because if you take on f5, he wants to now grab the d5 square for himself. And I love Anish's move. He's unperturbed. He's like, if you take here, I'll take here. My bishop protects the pawn, and I'm going to go a5 and b4 on the queen side. I'm going to start expanding. Pragg moves his king away to h1. And can we go a5 now? That's the question. I think a5 a very good move in the position. But look at the time. Anish has 38 minutes. Just 16 moves played, and Pragg is looking at it from black side. And Pragg has 1 hour 17 minutes. And Anish decides to take on f5. It's a very bold decision. I think one of the key reasons for putting rook b8 is not just a5 b4, but because bishop d5 won't really attack the rook in the corner. So that was one of the ideas. Now, e takes f5. If you take back, then black is very happy after bishop b7. Everything is great. No more sacrifices to worry about, nothing. But bishop g5, what a move by Pragg. And look at his point. If you take here, I go knight e4. Putting pressure. If you take here, I take on e7. So that's the reason why Anish says, I'm not taking this pawn. I'll play rook e8. And with this move, Anish defends the bishop on e7. Rook a e1 played. And now the idea is to take here, and the rooks are unleashed. Although Pragg would really love for Anish to take here so that his rook and the bishop open up. Okay, h6 played, a very bold move by Anish. He's asking the question to the bishop. The bishop can go back to h4, but he takes on f6. Bishop takes f6. And as we know, bd5, the rook is not hanging in the corner. It takes on f5. Now the rooks are opposite each other. Bishop b7 looks like a great move, because once again, threatening a checkmate here, he plays it. I think Anish Giri has played an incredibly well this middle game. He has just navigated through all of Pragg's ideas and tricks and opening novelties and everything, and he's come out of it with a fine position. Bishop d5 played by Pragg. He's attacking the queen here. And Anish comes back calmly, queen c7. Even though Anish has a weak pawn on d6, the bishop on f6 is just beautiful. Takes the bishop here. And now you can take back with the queen, but also rook e1. Seems like a good move. And he's going for it. Takes. Rook takes. And now a nice move is bishop takes c3, and he plays it. Because if you played queen b7, then you have to contend with knight d5, which is a nice position for white. So first take on c3, pawn takes c3, and now queen takes on b7. Just gives Anish a hugely fine position, like completely okay. By the way, guys, did you notice the chess monitor logo on Anish's shirt? That's new. It's the company he's just recently acquired. f6. Pragg is like, yes, for all the weaknesses I possess, I'm going to try and attack your king. Queen comes to c6. Anish is like, take this pawn if you want, Pragg. It doesn't matter because my king would be safe then. Pragg is like, I don't need the pawn. I need your king. I need to checkmate you. g6. Very bold. Now g7 square is weak and Pragg goes in. Rook e7. This game is heating up in spite of the fact that only a few pieces are left on the board. 22 minutes for Pragg. He's like, my queen side is busted, but I'm going h4, h5. I want to mate you. I want to mate this king. Rook c8 played by Anish, threatening not just c3, because once the queen lands on c3, check is possible. f6 is under attack. So too many things to worry about. Let's see what Pragg plays now. I think there's an idea which is to go queen e3. And now if you play queen takes, then rook e8 check. Okay, you can't take, queen is hanging, so king h7 and boom, check. Takes and mate. That would be something. But of course, Anish does not fall for it. In fact, he finds even a better move. He's threatening a mate in one. King g1 played. And now queen to c5. A beautiful move. And Anish going for the queen, plays it. Wow. Amazing move by Anish Giri. h4 by Pragg. Now taking on e3, rook e3 and h5. Black has a nice endgame to grind here. But instead he plays h5 directly. And Pragg goes, oh, queen d4. He makes a blunder. Because now with 8 minutes, Anish can simply chop off the pawn. Why not? And can Anish do that? Just take it, Anish. Queen a3. And there's nothing much that Pragg can do because queen c3 is hanging next. He takes on d4. C takes d4. And he misses that opportunity, Anish Giri. Why didn't he take the pawn? Queen a3 is the question. What was he afraid of? I'm not so sure. Maybe king h2. Yes, queen c3, queen d6, and then just queen to c6 or something. And black is just winning here. But takes, d5 played now. But this one seems like Pragg can now hold on to this. Anish still having a great position. He's played an amazing game, but that one moment was really a huge one. King h7, and maybe Pragg can now attack this pawn again with rook d7. King has to go back. King g8 and check. And it's a draw incoming here. Rook d7 played. And I think both the players know that this is a draw. In fact, Anish can try even with rook c3. If you take here, I can go back. But he's looking at the position. He goes king g8. And I think both the players will look at each other. In fact, Pragg is trying to call the arbiter. They shake hands and immediately, Anish says, could I not have taken queen a3? King h2 says Pragg. And then, yeah, this is such a big miss there. Queen a3. And I think Anish had seen it. It's just that it's slightly, the move is a little bit offside. You know, you get your queen a little bit offside. But you also win a very crucial pawn, a pawn. I think Anish played an insanely good game. Pragg really tried to put pressure on him with white, but he didn't budge. He didn't make any mistakes, and in fact, even got his chance. A draw in the end. Both players have 3 draws and 2 losses as they go into the rest day. A great fight, and we're looking forward to their encounter in the candidates.